And you can look up up the stats. I did.
They make great money in
hold on,
appreciation.
I'm not saying that they don't. I'm not saying that they don't eventually end up making great money. But I'm talking about, and you can look it up because I did.
No, I understand. Let me make this point because people keep forgetting that the gig economy exists. The reason why men like this is so terrible about black men in general. That
Wait, can I interject real quick? After you go, we're gonna go ahead and read the super chat.
I wanted to correct something he stated though, because we like to get stuff correct. No, go ahead and say what you're gonna say though.
Black, when you look at the labor statistics and however they put the salary, it was based on a 40-hour work week, not the overtime that men work. So that means we blowing y'all way out of the water because I think a few million more women are in the workforce, and yet men in totality of hours still outwork you. That's one side of it. The other side of it is that the gig economy exists. A plumber will go work for a company so he can get the benefits of that company and work on their 9 to 5. And then we'll use Thumbtack and all these other Fiverr apps to make his own money. My electrician that comes to fix my stuff has his own truck that he comes with after work to fix my electricity because it's $250 per visit for the company. He'll charge $150. That is how men are making money through the gig economy now. So you can't. That's men. That's like basically all men in those jobs doing gig economy jobs. So when we say they don't make money or you can't out earn them, they are blowing people out of the water with untraceable money through the gig economy.
I got 2 uncles that do this, so I know it's. I was mad that they invited.
I paid him $150 to come look at it. Twitch it and then spend 2 minutes fixing it. $150. He out. On to the next house.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's just take this in consideration. If you're talking about learning something online, that takes a certain amount of discipline to sit here and say, you know what, nobody's going to hold me accountable. I'm going to just do it online, and I'm going to be willing to learn everything it is that I need to know. And that itself is a quality.
Right. So you asked if all this information is readily available, why aren't people doing it? That's definitely one reason, right? I think the other reason is people don't have access to people who know where the free resources are, right? I know where they are because I recruited in tech, right? That's why I know that you don't always need like formalized education. You just need to have certifications from certain places, right? And I also know how much money these guys make because I know that like they have to tell me what their bottom line is, right? Lastly, it's so important now. Like we were talking about how the trades are going back into high schools. They're teaching kids at an elementary level coding. That has become a basic skill set for the youngest generation now, right? By the time they get to university, there is not a whole lot the university is going to be able to teach them in terms of the coding world. There isn't. Why? Because they've learned it from such a young age. We've decentralized tech from universities. That's not the only source where you can't go to med school through experience, right? It's still centralized to university. You can't go to law school outside of universities. It's still centralized in those areas, whereas tech, it's not centralized to school anymore. And that's the difference why so many people are able to break into that. But like you said, you have to have the initiative to go practice, to go learn, and to go apply and to make mistakes and gain that experience.
See, I will promote that. That's information for me, and I'm glad you told me because that's something I would promote to my kids. And even on this panel, like I'm for that because to me, that's still you're not just on this level. You're educating yourself in something to be better at that skill. That to me is still educating yourself.
So parents need to know their kids. Like before you promote any of this messaging, parents have to know their kids and they have to steer their kids in the direction I think that's best for adult growth. So if you are truly honest with yourself and you're truly honest with yourself about your kid, you can say and your kid is not one that's going to go to university, right? You can steer them to the trade school. Like that is your job as a parent. We have to be more active in as parents in the lives of our kids to get them where they need to go. Like for example, my son wants to be an architect and there's only one way to get to that. You're not going to get to that through trade school. You can learn trades that'll help you, in which I'm steering him that direction. But he has to go to university for that. Meanwhile, my daughter is not wanting to go that direction, so she's going to go to community college when it's her time to graduate. Also, I think we got really far off the point regarding the power structure in the home, and I think Marcus kind of touched on it. From what I hear and what I see in these spaces is that women will use their degree as a sense of power over a man, and it just doesn't work, which is why those relationships fail. Back to Marcus's point. I'm sorry, I was just sitting here listening and soaking all of this up because I think there was a lot of good information in here. And I think that's where the point of contention is, just like I said earlier, that like we have to get back to a point to where everything starts foundationally in the home. All of this. So I would argue, and I don't have the stat on this, but I would argue that the women that these men complain about that have these degrees likely didn't have a father who was active or actively participated in their life. And we are the example for these women. So even if you do have your PhD, you can still sit in your feminine frame and all the other F words that they use. But we as men, we have to set that example for our daughters and show them the correct way that a man needs to treat a female and how she needs to understand her role inside of a house, which is why I think it's important when you're choosing a mate. So when we're having these conversations, we got to have the full context instead of saying these blanket statements like we don't care about a degree. You know what? I kind of do. I like my chick. I need her to be at least educated in some way, right? I don't want a dumbass. And furthermore, she's going to be the one training and raising the kids most of the time. So do I want would I prefer somebody that was just a McDonald's worker, or someone who has that additional education that kind of has that world experience to say, okay, this is the direction we're going to move? And is she willing to follow my leadership? And I think we men have to, this is just an opinion, and I know Mike is gonna chew me out for this. We men, we have to find a way to be in the lives of our kids regardless of how the mother responds to us. It's our job to find a way, period. Too oftentimes we give up. We don't want to deal with the mom because she's making it very difficult, and we find ourselves $30,000 later trying to get an opportunity to see our kids. So what? So what? You help make them. Find a way to make it work, even if it costs you the house. Yes, I said it, because that's your job as a man.